What's up, everyone, and welcome back to, I think this is the fourth episode from the Lions Cove podcast. I'm your host, Marcelo. Today we have a very special guest, my man, Antonio Mangelluzzi.
How are you guys?
So, I've known Mango since probably before kindergarten. All the way back, we played flag football together, and now we're here, friends, still in college, so it's truly a blessing, and I'm very excited to have you on the show today.
Appreciate you having me.
Yeah, so first let's start off with the proper introduction. So my friend, his name's Antonio, but we call him Mango. So Mango, he's played football for Mayfield for, I think, probably, all 12 years?
So I played CYO football at St. Pascal's 4th grade through 7th grade, and then back to Mayfield 8th through 12th.
Yeah, so longtime football player at Mayfield High School. Eventually played a year at Otterbein, transferred to JCU, and then now he's at CSU, where he is majoring in,
Special education.
Special ed. So, so pretty impressive right there. Great friend, and I'm really excited to get into these questions.
Me too, yeah.
Awesome. All right, so what initially got you into football, and when did you realize that you had a passion for it?
So I got into football at a young age. I'd say 3 years old. My uncle was a football coach at St. Ed's, and he would just bring me on the sideline, being water boy, hearing Coach Finati, who coached at John Carroll, actually, hearing his pregame speeches. I don't remember specifically what was said because I was so young, I was 3, 4, 5 years old, but I just remember how I felt, and I felt like I wanted to run through a brick wall. I was ready to go out there and put the pads on myself at 5 years old, playing for a top team in the state of Ohio.
Yeah.
And, that was just a big part. Being around football at such a young age, that's what kind of put me into it. And I really felt and noticed my passion for it. I'd say probably when I started playing tackle football in 4th grade at St. Pascal's, always wanting to do more, get better at my craft. And I just always loved the little things about football. I played center, and if my snap didn't get to the quarterback, then the play couldn't happen. And then if I snap the ball good but I don't block good, then the play can't happen either. So it's little things like that really pushed me to be better and drove my passion for football.
Yeah. So who was your biggest influence growing up, and both in football and also in life as well?
So both my parents, obviously, big part of my life growing up. My dad and my mom both at every sporting event, whether that been football, wrestling, basketball when I was younger too. I played soccer when I was really, really young. Just those two and my grandparents, all of those people, just being at every sporting event, every donuts with dad, every muffins with mom, all that stuff. Just little things like that really made me want to push harder and just make them proud every single day. Whether that be in the classroom, as a son, as a grandson, a football player, just in general. And then in football, I'd say when I was really, really young, I would like to watch a lot of college football, and that some of the college football players might be cliche, but the Tavon Austin highlights when we were younger. I watched that, or Ray Lewis highlights when I was in middle school, and I was this is so sick. I want to go hit someone like that. But then when I got older, a lot of my high school coaches, I really appreciated time they took out. Coach Larry Pino, he's still actually the head offensive line coach at Mayfield High School.
Okay.
He really took me under his wing my junior year because I was the only underclassman starting on the varsity O-line my junior year. Everyone else was seniors. So he I'd ask a lot of questions, and he'd probably say that they're dumb questions and rhetorical questions. My favorite, you already know the answer. Why are you asking?
Yeah.
It's just I was a young buck on the line. I just wanted to make sure I was right at all times. But then, just hearing him talk about me at the end of the season banquets, talking about my never missing a snap, shotgun snap my junior year, and just things like that, being the leader of the O-line and stuff, making the calls at center. You got to call out a bunch of different stuff, fronts, blitz, all that stuff. I mean, he really was probably the most influential person in my life through football, uh, through high school.
Yeah, I mean too. I mean, kind of going back to like the questions thing. I mean, listen, like even like me, I always ask like dumb questions. But I mean, listen, the dumb questions can sometimes be like the best because then you know the answer. Like because at times you might go back and forth on if it's right or wrong. But I mean, hey, then you get a specific answer. And then also too, even if you're just like asking questions, coaches love that. Even in like the business world, even that's in school. People really appreciate questions.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So you kind of mentioned that you played for St. Pascal
hmm
for how long? You said 2 years?
Fourth grade through seventh grade.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what was that experience like playing for like a church league and then transitioning back into, kind of like public school?
Yeah. So I didn't play youth football at Mayfield because they always had a weight limit.
Yeah,
So and
yeah, it's true.
I've always been a bigger kid. So and CYO, there's no weight limit to play. You just get a dot on your helmet, meaning you can't touch the ball like outside of snapping the football. Like you
Wow.
can't carry the ball or throw the ball or catch the ball, but you still get to play football.
Yeah,
And that's really all I wanted to do growing up was play tackle football.
right.
And then fourth grade was the first year they had a league like that was the beginning league of tackle football in CYO. So that's when I went over there. I played flag football in Mayfield my whole life, like growing up, like before fourth grade. Play with you, obviously, as I
Yeah,
said before. Um, but I mean, my experiences there, I've gained a lot of close friends from those 4 years that I played there. Kids from like that went to high school at Gilmore and St. Ignatius, St. Ed's, like a bunch of schools around, somewhat around the area. I got a lot of friendships and lifelong friends from that experience in CYO, and then the transition. So Mayfield Middle School, they have a seventh grade and an eighth grade football team. So
right.
I could have went and played because there was no weight limit in middle school. I could have went in seventh grade to play for Mayfield,
Yeah,
but we had a really tight knit group. We were very very good that
yeah,
year. We were going to be very good that year. So stayed at St. Pascal's. Kind of realized like, hey, like talking to my buddies from the seventh grade team that year, hey, we run the same offense in the middle school that the varsity team runs. So
yeah,
and that kind of like clicked with me like, hey, I should probably go to Mayfield middle school, play football next year, start learning the offense, defense, stuff like that, like signals, play calls, like assignments. So I'm just better set up for my high school career.
yeah. So obviously our good friend Mike Huss,
Mm,
he kind of talked about, possibly going to like Gilmore or Saint Ignatius.
yeah.
Were you kind of thinking that route too, or were you just more so, hey, like I'm staying at Mayfield, like all like my friends are here?
I was always pretty much set on going to Mayfield. Like my uncle was coaching at Ed's for a little bit still, like, and I just wanted to stay with my brothers. Like
Yeah,
I had like my uncle like mentioned it, but I never had like any serious thought about going there. I always just wanted to stay with my brothers, play football, and wrestle with the dudes I grew up with, and man, I think I made a pretty good decision. So
yeah, for sure. So obviously, you played at Mayfield from the ninth grade to senior year. So throughout your time, were there any specific moments or games that really defined your career?
yeah. So my junior year, like I said, I was the only non-senior starting on the O line. We actually went 10-0 my junior year, and that's something I'll never forget in my life. Like seeing the whole community on the field all at one time. There's
Yeah,
pictures of like all of us in our huddle, and then everyone from the community on Kenston's field after, like surrounding us, and like seeing the clock hits triple zeros, and then seeing all your friends hop the fence even though the administration's telling them not to, and just coming up and hugging you and high fiving you and like, let's go, congrats, this and that. Like that was one of the that was the biggest moment I think, like that really set something like in my life from football.
yeah.
And then also we played Riverside the same year. We beat them in overtime. Shout
Wow.
out Billy Guzzo for the blocked field goal at the end of regulation. Um, we beat them in overtime, and just seeing like the team sprint onto the field and dogpile, and I mean that was a special moment too.
Yeah. So throughout your time, did you go against any like specific players that were kind of like standout players, like D1, Big Ten schools, like any high like level like recruits?
Yeah, so we played a lot of pretty good schools, like my junior and senior year. Nordonia, their D tackle, he was their nose guard, so the nose guards lined up head up on the center like every play. He was he was going to Toledo.
Wow.
He was
Okay.
pretty solid. He was going for offensive line, but I mean, high school you're going both ways, playing offensive defensive line. You go
Yeah.
to Toledo, you're a pretty good athlete.
Right.
Um, that kid was pretty solid. He was like 6'9", 320, so that was a tough game,
Jeez.
tough kid to block.
Yeah.
Um, we played Hoban all 4 years of
Yeah.
high school. My junior year, they had they had a DN going to Wisconsin. He plays there now. Daryl Peterson, number
Wow.
17 there. He's been starting there for, I think this is his second year starting there.
Wow.
My senior year, we played Chardon. They had a DN. He's at Iowa State now. His name's Miles Medinzoon.
Okay.
He just had a blocked punt actually for the Iowa State this past weekend.
Really?
Touchdown, yeah.
Wow.
That was pretty cool. Had to shoot him a text.
Yeah.
It's just like, and Hoban too. They had a Devin Hightower. He linebacker, went to Michigan State.
Jeez.
So I mean, yeah, played a lot of good top level talent in high school. So
Yeah.
I mean, it was always competitive, and sometimes it wasn't fun. Sometimes it was like, okay, like I'm hanging with these dudes going to the Big Ten. Like,
Yeah.
I can do this. So I mean,
Wow.
yeah.
So at the end of your senior year, what was the recruitment process like for you, and why did you choose Otterbein?
So our senior year was COVID, obviously.
Yeah,
So
it's tough.
the recruiting process was nothing probably like anyone in the grades before that. Like, well, maybe the 2019 or 2020 class
Yeah.
because they got the end of it. But like 2019 and before, the recruiting process was probably way more fun, way more different. Because with us, we couldn't do any like overnight visits. Like you were kind of going in blind to everything. You couldn't like you could barely visit campuses. Some campuses wouldn't let you come on campus.
Yeah.
Some campuses would let you like take a self guide, like invite you, like they'd like stand away, wave to you, speak to through a megaphone to you, and talk to you, and then be like, they'd give you like they'd message you directions on a map to like self guide yourself through.
That's insane.
Some colleges were less strict than others. They would take us on golf carts, like me and Mike Huss. We went to Mount Union on a visit, and they took me and Mike around on a golf cart all day, and that was pretty cool. But I eventually chose Otterbein because I saw a great opportunity there.
Yeah.
They were recently down for the past couple of years before I committed there, and the location. I mean, location was exactly where I wanted. I mean, I had a bunch of friends going to Ohio State. Like,
Yeah.
just going there for school it's a 15-minute drive to Ohio State. I had a bunch of friends like one friend went to Denison, which is like only 35 minutes. I had another
Yeah.
friend that went to Capital, that's only 10 minutes. So like, if you got homesick, you could go see somebody 30, 10, 15 minutes away to see a familiar face.
Yeah.
So like that was a part of it, like being able to like have the opportunity to go see somebody familiar. So it's not like a brand new setting,
Right.
but it's in a different location and setting to where it was very fun
Yeah.
and like different. So that was kind of like the main reason that I went there.
Yeah. And I mean, kind of going back to like that whole like process, like I was kind of talking about in a previous podcast, like during COVID, like you had to go through, like I know I went through that, like an online like visit where they had like someone like show me pictures and like videos, and like it was all virtual. Like
Yeah.
it was just a different time back then.
Right, yeah. And it was like, I think a lot of the key factors of recruiting are like seeing if you fit in with a team
Yeah.
and like fit in like with the players that are already on the team.
Yeah.
So like a lot of the kids that I have seen like before me or like a couple years after me, they're saying like, oh, I'm like, why'd you choose that school? They're like, oh, because of the overnight visit. Like,
Yeah.
I click with the team. Like, I got to talk to the coaches and more in depth. Like that was a big thing. Like probably, I don't know if I would have not committed to Otterbein if I had an overnight visit because I enjoyed my time there. Like I have a lot of friends I still talk to this day.
Yeah.
From Otterbein, but yeah, I mean, I saw myself being there. So one thing my mom told me was, if you somehow get a career-ending injury, do you see yourself still being at that school? And I saw myself being at that school. You have big college that has good football at Ohio State, 15 minutes away.
Yeah.
I had friends. I had a friend at Capital 10 minutes away. I had another friend 30 minutes away. It was just kind of like an ideal setting. And then we had two girls from West G, these twins
Yeah.
that I knew previous. They committed there for soccer.
Okay.
So, I mean, there was just another familiar faces at the same school, too. And it was kind of like glorified high school.
Yeah.
It's so small, like being a D3 school.
Yeah.
Like, you could go hang out with the same 10 people every weekend and not get bored.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, it's almost like John Carroll, too. It's kind of just like, like almost like a glorified high school, but there's also so many kids at times that, like, you don't really know certain people. Right. So you have your group, but at the same time, there's also so many new people that you can meet, too.
Exactly.
But, so obviously you started your journey at Otterbein, and what was the biggest difference between high school and college football for you?
Honestly, I think just like the time commitment, like between summer camp.
Yeah.
So at Otterbein, we got there like 2.5, 3 weeks before anyone else on campus got there, and that like a daily schedule for that was like 6:30 wake up, 7:15 breakfast, 7:30 lift, 9 o'clock meeting, 10:30 walkthrough, 11:30 or 11:15 lunch, 11:30 you go to another practice, and it's just like it keeps rotating somewhat of that format until like 7, 8 o'clock at night. So that was like a big difference for me. But kind of in high school, I kind of did the same thing. It was like I always wanted to go work out. I always wanted to go have lunch or breakfast or dinner with my boys.
Yeah.
I always wanted to watch film. I always wanted to take notes on certain things and stuff like that. It just was a little bit more. So I don't think it was horribly different, but it was definitely more like time consuming, like with a coach, like outside of high school where you're only with coaches for in the summer, like 6 hours a day maybe. That was like 13, 14 hours sometimes.
Yeah, and then I'm sure with those D3 programs, I'm sure there was also like a lot of kids like on like the team as well, right?
Yeah, so D3 you don't get like scholarships like D1 and D2 that they only get a certain amount of scholarships. They give you a roster spot.
Yeah.
And they can give out as many as they want. It just determines on if you're going to play.
Yeah.
So my recruiting class going into Otterbein, I think we had like 57 kids, maybe a little less than that, somewhere around there, 50 to 60 range, I would have to say. So there's a lot of like different backgrounds coming. So you had like kids from like Alabama, California.
Jeez.
We had a kid on our team. He was a backup quarterback from Germany.
Wow.
So I mean, there was a lot of different backgrounds, cultural backgrounds that you got to see and like experience. But it was good because it was like a change of pace from high school where like you already knew everything about everyone for the most part.
Yeah.
Like at least you're like people you see every day. These dudes I saw every day, and I barely knew anything about them until about a couple weeks in, and then you start talking, and you could talk to 10 different kids every day and learn something new about them every day.
Wow.
It's just very, very interesting.
Yeah. But I mean, overall, you would say like your experience there was awesome, right?
Yeah, I would say the experience there was awesome. I mean, life outside of football, I would say was awesome. Football aspect, I mean, we went 1-9 my only year there.
Wow.
And so it was kind of a change of pace from going 11-1 in my junior year and 5-2 in my senior year.
Yeah.
So it was kind of a change of pace, and just didn't see the opportunities that were told that I would have gotten.
Yeah.
So that was kind of a disappointment to me as well.
Yeah. No, I know. I'm sure tons of people and a lot of viewers out there have experienced that same thing too. Yeah. But so you later transferred to John Carroll. What kind of influenced that decision? Because obviously, with like the transfer portal nowadays, like, it's huge. You got people transferring everywhere. So what kind of influenced that?
So I was set on coming to Carroll after.
Yeah.
Like I knew I was leaving Otterbein at some point.
Yeah.
Before the season was over, and in my head I was kind of like, I want to leave, but I want to stay.
Yeah.
So it was kind of a toss up for me. It was either I was going to stay there or come to Carroll. There was nothing else for me.
Wow.
Like
Okay.
I didn't want to go anywhere else but Otterbein or Carroll.
Wow.
So a couple schools talked to me
Yeah.
about coming to their school, and I respectfully declined it
Yeah.
because I knew my mind was set on either Otterbein or Carroll,
Yeah.
one of the two, nothing else. Big influence was, like I mentioned earlier, Coach Finati was the head coach here when I transferred in. But unfortunately, a couple months after I transferred in, he stepped down as the coach here.
Wow.
So that was pretty much the main reason I came here
Yeah.
in the first place for football was to play for Coach Finati, because growing up, hearing his pregame speeches, seeing how he coaches a football team at St. Ed's was a big part of why I played football, like I said earlier. So being able to play for him in college, that's kind of why I came here, to and for like good education as well. John Carroll is very known for their education.
Right.
The only thing, I had to change my major when I got here because Carroll doesn't offer special education.
Wow.
So that was kind of an impact on me now, but back then I was okay with it.
Yeah. So I've asked all of my interviewees this question. So throughout your time in college and in high school, did you have any specific pregame routines, or any artists that you would play before games?
Yeah. So at Mayfield, pregame for football, we played Dreams and Nightmares in the locker room.
Yeah, banger.
Yeah, and then once the main verse hits and hold up, wait a minute, and that ends, then we would automatic, and then as soon as that would end, it would switch into the purge.
Wow.
And you just get in a place where you kind of don't know what to feel like, because you're so juiced up from hearing Dreams and Nightmares right into the purge. You just want to go out there and hit somebody.
Yeah.
But before that pregame routine, by myself, I really listen to rap, rock, metal, just something to get me ready to go hit somebody. Playing O-line, you got to hit someone every play. So you gotta be ready for war out there,
Yeah. So do you have a go-to song aside from Dreams and Nightmares,
or? So now I'm starting to get into more of the hard rock stuff. So, but I would still say my favorite pregame song is Seven Nation Army.
Wow.
Just get you get chills ready to go.
Yeah. No, awesome. So, what challenges did you face as a student athlete? Balancing academics and football, because obviously football very time consuming, and school as well.
Right. So, freshman year was really, really difficult. Freshman year, first semester, finding the balance between college football and being a freshman in college, trying to figure out they're not going to baby you. They're not going to be like, hey, you're missing this assignment, you got to get it in. Hey, your assignment's due this week. You get a syllabus, you have to read it, you have to keep up with it. That was the biggest point of emphasis for me, classroom wise, and just trying to create good habits. Being a student athlete is honestly what I think is key. Planning your days out, it really helps maintain a good routine.
Yeah.
That helped me out a lot.
Wow.
I didn't learn that until sophomore year.
Yeah.
But freshman year still did pretty good. Probably could have done better if I got into a routine better.
Yeah. I mean, hey, coming into your freshman year, I mean, it's pretty challenging. Make new friends. On top of that, you have football, and you're just balancing out your schedule, finding out where your classes are,
Right,
your professors, your kind of group. So I mean, it's a lot.
Yeah.
But so now Mango is now a coach at Mayfield High School. You've been a coach probably for what, 3 years, 2 years?
Yeah, it's my third year coaching.
Wow. So what inspired you to transition from player to coach, and how did that process kind of start?
So my sophomore year, the end of my freshman year when I was at Carroll, because I transferred at the halfway point of the semester.
Yeah.
I was training for football and wrestling here. So I was going to workouts for football in the morning, and then 5 days a week, and then wrestling 2 or 3 days in the afternoon.
Wow.
So I would go lift, go to class, go to wrestling practice, go home, do it all over again.
Wow.
So trying to find a balance with that, school, and going out and like hanging out with some friends, like still having a social life.
Yeah.
That was really tough. But so I ended up messing my knee up again, like training, doing the dual training.
Wow. Yeah.
So I tore my meniscus for the fourth time, and I was like, I don't really want to do this again,
Yeah.
surgery again. So I kind of just let it go, and kind of just slowly stopped. I stopped doing football training first, and then I just kept going to the wrestling stuff, and wasn't getting any better. So I was just like, I don't know if I want to keep doing this, but I kept going for another month, and then our head football coach at Mayfield, Ross Bandera, I saw him at a Mayfield baseball game actually, and he's like, "Hey, I heard you're not playing football anymore. Like, do you want to come coach? Like,
Yeah.
be a volunteer assistant for the first year?" And I was like, "Yeah, I think that's a good idea. Like,
Yeah.
I still love football,
Right.
but I just physically probably couldn't make it through another year with the knees and ankles and hips and
Yeah.
shoulders. A lot of injuries over the years. But so yeah, Coach Bandera reached out to me, gave me all the stuff. Like, it's like, hey, we start here, come up and help out this year. So first year coaching was pretty fun. It was cool to see the other side of it.
Yeah.
Like watching film as an athlete versus a coach, it's so different. Like you think you know everything. Like, oh, this kid's gonna do this on this play because I scouted him all week and I know that. And then you go in the game and you're like, he didn't do that much, this much, because now as a coach, like you see like this kid's hands down, or if this hand's down, he's gonna slant that way. If this hand's down, he's gonna slant that way. If his feet are tighter together, he's gonna stunt this way.
Wow.
It's a totally different ball game watching it on the other side.
Wow.
It's kind of interesting.
Yeah. So talk about your coaching style. So how did you approach working with players, and who influenced like your coaching philosophy?
So my coaching philosophy I kind of got from Coach Bandera, Coach Pino, who I talked about earlier, and Coach Mahalik. He's our offensive coordinator at Mayfield. And Coach Pino, Jr. He's our D-line coach, because I'm the head freshman coach now.
Yeah.
So, and I call the offense. So get a lot of the offensive philosophy from Coach Bandera, Coach Pino, and Coach Mahalik. And then as a freshman coach, you don't really get a lot of I only have 3 assistants, so I'm coaching the offensive and defensive line while calling the plays, while maintaining the whole team. So it's a lot. So Coach Pino Jr., he really helped me with like D-line technique, like telling me a lot of the individual drills he does for kids and stuff. So that really helped with like the defensive philosophy. Like I've always been an offensive guy. Like I played minimal defense in high school, like just when they needed me to go in, because we had some pretty good D linemen when I was there. But like offensively, Coach Mahalik, he's very, very smart, and he's got a lot of good schemes that he puts in. And Coach Bandera, we've been running the same offense for a while, and we have little stuff off of it to when teams start picking up tendencies. Hey, we're going to do this out of this formation, running the same pre-snap motion, but it's coming back this way with something else. He's very, very smart as well, offensively, scheme-wise. And Coach Pino, he's taught me everything I know about O-line.
Yeah.
And he gave me my PhD in linemenology. So, I mean, those 4 really have helped push my coaching career and like philosophies.
Yeah, and also too, I'm sure when you started off as kind of like a volunteer, now you're the freshman coach. I mean, I'm sure you just seen like the growth and process like with your coaching.
Yeah. So last year we had it was my first year calling plays, so I was kind of like timid on like, oh, I don't know, like what should I do here? And then this year it's really clicked better, because I mean practice makes perfect. So I don't want to say last year was like a practice year, because we had a very good freshman class last year.
Yeah.
But I feel like I kind of underperformed with them because I was timid, and it was my first year calling plays. But I mean, this year we're really rocking right now. We're 6-1. We got a big game this week against a rival school. So, I mean, hopefully, understanding my play calling's better, and just organization on your play sheet. That's really been the biggest thing this year. Like last year, I'd put all my plays on like a Google Doc and then just read them, and there's no organization. Like trying to get the signals out there, and it really messed me up a lot trying to find something that I wanted to, because I didn't know the exact formation or whatever it was in. Now this year I like switched to a Google Sheet, like spreadsheet,
Yep.
and then highlight stuff. So that's really helped a lot. Like down a distance, first and long, like second and short, second and medium, second and long, third and short, third and medium, third and long, fourth down, when to go for it. That's another big thing. Clock management, play Madden. I don't coach how I play Madden. I go for it on fourth down every time in Madden. And
you have to.
don't call timeouts when I probably should in Madden.
Yeah.
But that's actually helped me too, playing video games my whole life. Like
Yeah.
football games, you understand schemes that are going to work against cover 1, cover 2, cover 3, cover 4, cover 6, cover 9, a bunch of stuff like that. So, I mean, just little things like that have really changed the way I've coached this year. So, hopefully, we got our 2 biggest rivals these next 2 weeks with Chardon and Riverside. So, both of them beat us pretty bad last year. So, I want to get them back this year.
Yeah, it's time to get some revenge.
Right.
So, looking back on your football journey, just being a player, coach, what would you say were your biggest lessons?
Biggest lessons really were how to become a man quick.
Yeah.
You get thrown into the fire, and
Yeah.
sometimes a lot of things don't go your way, and how to fight adversity through it. That's kind of what I teach my kids now, like the ones that I coach. They need to, something doesn't go bad, you have to have an elephant mindset, we call it, and because elephants have this, like one of the smaller brains, I guess. I just heard the saying from one of our varsity coaches,
Yeah.
so I kind of took it and ran with it. If you mess up on a play, it's not as bad as it could have been probably. You're still playing football. You're still a kid. You're pretty good, you know?
Yeah.
So, next play mentality. You had a really, really bad play. You screwed up really bad. You threw a pick. You fumbled the ball. You snapped it over the quarterback's head. You missed your block. Next play. Come back next play. Do better.
That's it.
If you scored a touchdown, you had a pick 6, you made a really, really good block, doesn't matter. Next play, come back. You got to do it again.
Yeah.
I mean, it's nothing in football or life is consistent. You never know what's next. Something bad could happen. Something really, really good can happen. But you always have to have a mellow mindset, I feel like.
Yeah. Very, very true. So now we get into the quote of the episode. So usually throughout like all of like my interviewees, I'll pick like a quote from like a famous coach or like famous player.
Mm-hmm.
But since you're actually a coach, give like a quote that I guess you kind of tell your athletes or tell your players or to kind of motivate them.
A lot of the things I tell them is like the little things. Take care of the little things, because a lot of people outside of like the coaching aspect, and like some of the players get it, but some of them don't. And it's just the little things. Hey, this kid didn't touch the line in the sprint so how are you if you can't trust him to touch the line during sprints, how are you going to trust him to make his block? Or how is the quarterback going to trust the receiver to make that catch? How's the receiver going to trust the quarterback to make the throw? Just things like that. That's all I preach a lot, is just the little things. Touching the line, doing the right thing, saying the right thing.
Yeah.
One of the best quotes I think I've heard and I use a lot is the standard is the standard. We use that. That was a quote of the year when we went undefeated my junior year. The standard is a standard. There's a standard set for Mayfield football. That's what it is. You got to reach it.
Yeah.
Anything below it, it's not good enough. You go, standard is whatever win total probably. You go win total under that, not good.
Yeah, I mean, like it's so true. Just talking about like the like little things. I mean, like the little things are truly small wins. So let's say you're doing like this drill. You want to execute it perfectly. Even though let's say you may in basketball you dribble the ball, the ball goes out of bounds.
Right.
For example, the line thing. If you miss the line on a suicide, you just got to pay attention to the detail, because those small things could be costly in a big game.
Right, and they translate.
Yeah.
You practice bad habits, you're going to perform bad habits in the game. You practice good habits, you're going to perform good habits in the game.
It's true.
Just simple.
Hey, I love that quote. Standard is a standard, so live up to it.
Right.
Well, that'll do it for this episode. Mango, Antonio, great to have you on the podcast today.
Appreciate you having me.
Yeah, be sure to look out for Mayfield's football schedule. I'm sure for those that are watching, if you're interested, you can go see his schedule, see how his team's doing, if it's out there online. And but yeah, we'll see you in the next episode. Be sure to like, comment, follow, share with friends and family, and Yeah, sorry, I took a little break last week, had a little bye week, had to get some stuff done for midterm week in school. So now we're back posting every week. Yeah, so be sure to look out, and we'll see you in the next one. See you later.